Well, hello there, friends and family. It's Memorial Day 2020. Similar to so many and unlike no other. And this day is always a deeply concerning day for me and my family, or what remains of it. And to me, it's not a holiday. It's not a day of celebration. It's a day of remembrance. Yes, because indeed, that's what Memorial Day is. A day to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. They gave all they had, their very lives. Even I, once upon a time in my young life, almost gave all I had as well. As have both my children in the current conflicts that our nation is involved in. And as you both know, my son, he served in the U.S. Army and was severely wounded during his deployment in Iraq, nearly costing him his life. My daughter was as well. She was in the Air Force. But she wasn't wounded, but she was disabled in her service as well. And both my son and daughter are 100% disabled. Yes, they are. Now, that being said, they don't want no pity or no sympathy. Neither do I. And I'm going to tell you why. Because for us, we're a traditional military family. My father was a career military man, serving 23 years in the U.S. Army. He came up through the ranks from a private through the enlisted ranks and became an officer. Yep. And he made sacrifices. Our family did. And at the time, it almost cost my dad his life as well. But our service in the military didn't stop with my father. My grandfather served in World War II. My great-grandfather in World War I. Uncle served. Aunt served. Our family has served in every conflict and war America has ever been engaged in, to include the Revolutionary War. And if you know my last name, you can look it up. So, we have a long-standing tradition of military service and government service. Now, granted, I didn't spend a long time in the uniformed services. I did spend some time in the U.S. Army. But I chose another path, and that's something I'd like to tell y'all a little about, because I think people are sometimes forgotten. Yes, we owe our freedoms and our rights to those that have served and have fallen in that service in the military. But we also owe it to a group of people, both men and women, who serve in other services. You don't always wear a uniform, and there's no dog tags around your neck, and no American flag is slapped upon your shoulder. But they still serve, and they still die and fall every day. out of sight, out of mind, but ever so vigilant. And that's all I'll say about that. But we also have our first responders as well, in service to our country and in service to all. And my family not only has been in the U.S. Army, which was primarily, but they've served in the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Merchant Marines, all branches of the service. So see, when somebody wishes me a happy Memorial Day, I go ahead and go with it. But it hasn't been a happy one, not a day of one in my life. Oh yeah. We had a barbecue in the late afternoon when I was a child, up through my teens, up to the point where I left home. Daddy always made sure of that. And while Daddy was in the service, all of the men under his command were invited. No, not just officers. Enlisted men too. Dad had a special connection with his enlisted men. Often, he was criticized for that. And we had some huge gatherings. But they weren't rowdy, boisterous, and celebratory. They were solemn. Yep, right down to the songs that were playing in the background. Oh, the flag was up, and tables were adorned with flag decorations. You don't see that much anymore. And they would speak of times past, battles and stories of those who were no longer able to be with us. I remember them. And at the end of every one of those Memorial Days, Daddy, in a small detail, would go out to the flagpole where the flag waved. And as the sun fell and the sky grew dim in the evening light, the familiar song of taps would start to play as the flag was lowered, folded, and put away. Later, in my teens, I was honored to be a part of that ceremony. I was also honored in elementary, junior high, and high school to be a part of that great tradition as well. Part of the flag patrol, as they called it. We'd arrive at school early and raise the flag. And when school was over and before we left, we'd lower that precious flag, fold it, and put it away in the office. You don't see that much anymore. People in the governments, cities, county, state, federal, even businesses, now they just shine a light on it. And they leave our flag flying through the night. I think in some ways, losing the tradition of raising and lowering the flag each day is just another small chip away on what was once America. Hey Cleo! As you can see, Cleo's out here with me. But I have my own flag up today. It doesn't fly every day, but this is one day that old flag will fly. It's old. I've had it some odd over 40 years now. The white stripes are not so bright. The red's faded, and the blue is fading too. But that old flag has been with me for most of my life, and has flown on every house I've ever owned. That may have not been the only one, but that's the one that I've carried everywhere I went. And again today, Memorial Day 2020, it flies again. Now, there have been years that it was hard to put that old flag up, especially when I didn't know my son would live or die, or my daughter. Those were tough days, which would become tough weeks, months, and even years, till they were made whole. And I am forever grateful to God that they are. For both of them are making lives for themselves. Oh yes, they suffer pain. They have nightmares. They don't regret one moment of it. But I'll tell you a little secret. If I could have had any wish, my wish would have been they'd have let it go by. Yep, I hate to say it. I never encouraged them to serve. I never even spoke about mine. They chose it on their own. And I was forever proud of them. And you'll see them. Yep, in their uniforms. On that video I made, Past Times at Deep South Bama. They were so bright-eyed, so full of excitement, and honored to serve. And when they returned, that brightness had faded from their once gleaming eyes. But you can't take back what you can't help. But I'm honored by their service. And on this day, when the sun sets low again, I'll take that old flag down. And taps will play as it comes down. Just like it did all through my life. So y'all, don't mean to be all filled with gloom, doom, and sadness. But like I say, for me and my family, this day is all about remembrance, respect, and honoring those who came before us and gave all they had and can no longer be with us on this particular Memorial Day. I spend my entire day in remembrance of those in my past life. They can't be here today with their families, their loved ones. And I'll be spending mine here with just myself, my thoughts, Trixie, and the kitty crew. And that's more than enough, and more than some have. And I'm thankful. And I have all of you out there in our community, and virtual neighborhood too. I don't think a man could ask for more. And later tonight, like I told you yesterday, I'll light that fire and I'll pull up a chair. But there'll be one more, because it's tradition too. There'll be an empty chair beside that fire. And I'll be honest with you, there'll be a cold beer sitting on the arm to remember those who can no longer enjoy this day. But even when I eat my evening meal today, a place will be set at the dining room table, complete with plate, cups, silverware, and a napkin. When I serve my dinner to myself, I'll serve dinner to that vacant place as well. In remembrance, again, of those who have come and gone. My father, no matter what, no matter how many came, a vacant place was always set at the table in the dining room, complete with everything. And when the meal was served, that place setting was served to. And no one touched that food. They wouldn't have dared. But everybody knew the true reason. Nobody doubted its intent. In many restaurants around the country, especially in rural communities, still do similar. I've seen it, and I respect them for it. And I wish I could video when I take the flag down and sit at the fire tonight. But there are times that are extremely personal. There are times when even this old hard man has times dealing with his emotions. And if you would forgive me, tonight, when this old flag comes down and I sit at the fire, I'll be alone, except for those who fill that vacant chair. Now, unlike years far in the past, that chair is reserved for my father, first and foremost of all. And I truly believe tonight, his spirit and his soul will be sitting to the left of his son, as we always did. Yep, very traditional family. I always sat at my father's right-hand side. And that's how I'll set it up tonight, once again. So y'all, I do hope this Memorial Day finds you all healthy, safe, and honoring this day with your families. And I know many of you may not celebrate the way old Mr. Tom does, or look at Memorial Day the same way. And that's okay. I'm good with that. You see, that's your rights, your freedom. Something I, my children, and my family fought for all of you. I want to wish and honor all of you who have served in our community, our virtual neighborhood. I give you my heartfelt thanks for your service and my full respect. I want you to know I truly do. So until I see you on the next video, y'all take care out there. Stay safe. And God bless you, your families, and your loved ones on this Memorial Day 2020. Goodbye for now. Well, we got to get up and cut some wood, get things set up for the bonfire, and get the meal going. It's going to be a good night.
glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faith